Presbyterian Church. The police department response was swift. Officers entered the first story of the school, began clearing it. They heard shots coming from the second level. They immediately went to the gunfire. When the officers got to the second level, they saw a shooter, a female, who was firing. The officers engaged her. She was fatally shot by responding police officers. There was a 5-member team who was on the second floor at that time. 2 individuals from that 5-member team opened fire on the shooter. We know at this point that this shooter is a female. She appears to be in her teens, although her identification has not been confirmed at this juncture. We know that she was armed with at least 2 assault-type rifles and a handgun. We are efforting now to identify her.
Okay, guys, I just wanted to pause right there and just make sure that you guys heard what he said. So basically he said, they got the call around 10:13, and as I said, he talked about the shooting, and he also mentioned that it appears to be a teenage girl. And as I've already told you guys, they have identified that it was not a teen girl, but actually a 28-year-old female. So I just wanted to let you guys know that this were their thoughts this morning. Like, this is actually live, like now on the news, but we're in between the live, so this isn't the actual live part that they're on at the moment. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys heard that part.
She entered the school through a side entrance and traversed her way from the first floor to the second floor, firing multiple shots. We now know that there are 3 students who were fatally wounded, as well as 3 adults inside the school. We are working to identify those victims. Including the shooter, a total of 7 persons were killed as a result of this morning's incident at the school. By 10:27, the shooter was deceased. The officers had engaged the shooter by 10:27, and she was deceased. Again, I said the first call came in at 10:13 this morning. We'll have more details to give you later in the morning. Chief Drake will be here in a bit. Now, Kendra Maloney from Nashville Fire.
Fire department crews are dispatched for active shooter incidents as well, for medical support, but also for an RTF response, which is a rescue task force response to go in alongside of MNPD response. Our crews were right there on the scene to provide medical aid to any survivors, but also be there for victims so that we could try life-saving efforts in this case. So we went in as soon as it was safe for our responders to do so, to try to provide life-saving efforts for those that were impacted by this incident and this tragedy. Our crews were able to be on scene to pull out those that had viable signs of life, those that were still showing the option to be saved. And we did make transport of 3 individuals and 3 children, and then 2 adults that were taken from the scene. Our crews then set up a reunification unit. That reunification unit is at 2100 Woodmont Boulevard. That's where parents can go to be reunited with their children. All of the remaining students were able to be escorted out of the building with faculty and staff. We're not sure about the processes that they had in place, but we were on scene to help them mitigate anyone from seeing exactly what else was going on, but we're sure that they heard the chaos that was surrounding this. So we do have mental health specialists and professionals that are at that reunification site for both the students and the families that are going to be affected by this today. Our OEM units were able to provide buses to make transport from the Covenant School to the reunification site. We had one bus that carried 74 students and faculty staff members to the reunification site, and an additional bus that had 34 students on them. So all of those persons were carried. It was difficult for us to kind of identify who was just there as part of staff for the church versus who was there for the school, because it's all housed in one building. But at this time, we were able to get that number of persons transported out of the building and into that reunification site. So that is where parents can go to be reunited with their students. There is a hotline being set up for parents to call, but right now that is where they should go, 2100 Woodmont Boulevard, which is Woodmont Baptist Church. Additionally, we do have a debriefing site set up for on-staff or personnel who are working this incident, and there are mental health professionals set up there for them as well. There was one police officer that was injured with a hand injury as a result of making an attack on this incident. But other than that, there have been no additional injuries to first responders or personnel responding to this. And as Don mentioned earlier, we will have further updates coming later on in the afternoon.
So on a typical day, there would be about 209.
Okay, guys, I just want to touch base with you guys on what was said. So she was a part of the fire department, and she was just letting you know how many students were transported to a relocation site, basically where they can reunite with their parents, you know, and their loved ones. Like, this is so heartbreaking, because I can only imagine being a parent going to that site looking for my child, and I don't never see my child. So, and she also stated that, as you heard, it was 3 children that were transported as well as 2 adults. And it looks like the 3rd adult was the wounded police officer that had a hand wound. And of course, the 7th person would be the actual suspect, the female suspect. Like, this is mind-blowing to me. So now I'm waiting to hear like the race of the female suspect. That's what I would like to hear. So I'm going to continue on with this video, and then we're going to go back to a part that I want you guys to hear.
Students inside the school, and approximately
To be additional.
So on a typical day, there would be about 209 students inside the school, and approximately 40 to 50 staff members, about 42 staff members. I'll take just a couple of questions before we go back.
So 7 dead, and then the nature of injuries, how many injuries do you know? That you're being treated still, or injuries? I know first responders were.
An officer had a wound from cut glass. That is the only other injury that I'm aware of. The 3 students are deceased. The 3 students who were shot are deceased. 3 staff members who were shot are deceased. That's a total of 6 victims. And then you have the shooter, who was engaged by 2 of our police officers, part of a 5-member team, and she is deceased, for a total of 7 individuals. There are no other gunshot victims, non-lethal, that I'm aware of at present.
Do you know how many people were shot? Do you know how many people were shot before the police engaged the shooter?
No.
Do you know if they shot anyone after they engaged the shooter? Do you know if the shooter was able to shoot anyone else?
We do not know who she is at this juncture. We're trying to identify her. She does appear to be in her teens. Again, with 2 assault-type rifles and at least 1 pistol. No, I'm not.
Was there an SRO or an SSO working at the school?
No, this is a church that operates a private school.
Okay, I paused it right there because I was wondering myself if this school had, I think they said an RFO, which is basically an officer on site. And because this is a private school, which is also a church, they don't have that, unfortunately. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys heard that part. And as he said, the officer was wounded by a cut glass, so it wasn't a gunshot wound that the officer had. And again, y'all heard him say they think it's a team, but as I said, that's why you have to wait on all the full evidence to come out before you prejudge, and make judgment, because he said it's a team, but I've already told you guys that the news that has already broke that it was a 28-year-old female, but she looked like she was a teen. So let's get back into
it. There was no Metro Police personnel assigned to that building at any time. You said two? No, there are a total of three adults. Three adults who have been fatally wounded.
Okay. One of them being the shooter?
No.
Okay.
So let me go over this again. You have a total of 6 victims, 3 students who are deceased, and 3 adult staff members from the school who are deceased. The shooter herself makes 7.
So let me make sure y'all understand that. So it's 3 students deceased, 3 adults from the school deceased, as well as the shooter. So the officer that had the hand wound, he was not included in the wounded, since he wasn't wounded by a gun. So there you go. So 3 students and 3 teachers or faculty are unalive.
I do not. There is video from the school that we are viewing now to try to learn exactly how all of this happened.
Can you say where the victims were located? Were they in the hallway, in a classroom?
I cannot at this juncture. As you know, 5 of the 6 were transported. So we will get that information later in the day. It is an upper level part of the school. It's kind of a lobby type area. It was not in a classroom per se. All right, we'll be back shortly with more detail. We'll tweet out, give you a 15-minute or so notice before the next one, okay? Thanks.
Aren't you guys tired of covering this? Aren't you guys tired of being here and having to cover all of these mass shootings? I'm from Highland Park. Family vacation with my son, visiting my sister-in-law. I have been lobbying in DC since we survived a mass shooting in July. I have met with over 130 lawmakers. How is this still happening? How are our children still dying, and why are we failing them? Gun violence is the #1 killer of children and teens. It has overtaken cars. Assault weapons are contributing to the border crisis and fentanyl. We are arming cartels with our guns and our loose gun laws. And these shootings and these mass shootings will continue to happen until our lawmakers step up and pass gun safety legislation. I'm pretty sure this was an unsecured weapon that this teenager got a hold of. We can't even pass gun safety, like safe storage laws in this country to protect kids from getting a hold of weapons that they shoot each other with. Aren't you guys tired of this?
Yeah.
Okay, I paused it there because I didn't see that part earlier. Like a lot of this I hadn't seen, but I did see the fire department statement and Don, which is the man that always gives the statements information. But what I heard from the lady was she's visiting her sister-in-law on vacation, and she survived the shooting, back in July, and so I'm not, taking away from whatever, what she survived and her trauma and all that. But when I see stuff like that, sometimes it make me, and please don't judge me, sometimes it just makes me think like, are they trying to push an agenda to, get gun rights taken away? I'm just saying I could be wrong, but, and I'm not saying that this incident is false, it's fake, it's set up, or any of that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, where did this lady come from? But that's all I want to say. Sorry for the losses of the children, but sometimes, like, she just overtook the mic. It's like the news guy, I can't remember his name, he was about to talk, but then it's like her mic is hooked up, and then she's saying, what she's saying. So I'm gonna rewind and we're gonna hear what she said again. You can leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section if you want. If you don't, I understand, because sometimes I don't even like speaking on saying stuff like that, thinking everything is, I'm not gonna say conspiracy, because these children losing their lives is definitely nothing to play with. But I just think of the things that happen to get certain laws passed. So let's continue.
And why aren't you guys tired of being here?
It is an upper, there are six back.
Aren't you guys tired of covering this? Aren't you guys tired of being here and having to cover all of these mass shootings? I'm from Highland Park. Family vacation with my son, visiting my sister-in-law. I have been lobbying in DC since we survived a mass shooting in July. I have met with over 130 lawmakers. How is this still happening? How are our children still dying, and why are we failing them? Gun violence is the #1 killer of children and teens. It has overtaken cars. Assault weapons are contributing to the border crisis and fentanyl. We are arming cartels with our guns and our loose gun laws. And these shootings and these mass shootings will continue to happen until our lawmakers step up and pass gun safety legislation. I'm pretty sure this was an unsecured weapon that this teenager got a hold of. We can't even pass gun safety, like safe storage laws in this country to protect kids from getting a hold of weapons that they shoot each other with. Aren't you guys tired of this?
Yeah.
Okay, and before I continue on, I also want to state on when she stated, I'm sure this was an basically a weapon that was just out for this teen to get. And that's why I be talking about pushing the gun laws, because it's like, when you find out in a minute, it's not a teen, it's a 28-year-old woman, not a teen at all. So sometimes I just feel like it's a push to get people's rights taken, to just like they're going to be the only ones to be able to have guns. When I say there, I mean, the top, government. We're going to be living like, if y'all have not watched Handmaid's Tale, the show, go watch it. Go watch it. That's all I got to say. Go watch The Handmaid's Tale. And you can tell me your thoughts on any of my videos. I know what you're talking about, but just go watch it. Go watch one episode. Just go watch one episode. I feel like that's what U.S. is going to be, because Handmaid's Tale is based off the United States. It's not the United States anymore. It's called, basically, we're not our own person anymore, pretty much. No rights whatsoever. And if you don't comply, guess what? I'll flip your head. So let's get into the video. And salute to everyone that's watching the video with me. I'm not paying attention to the chat yet. I may leave a comment, but salute to everyone that's watching. This is just terrible on all sides.
Yeah, just very disturbing and a little confusing and shocking as I sat here getting the tally of the death toll. As Don made it very clear, a total of 7 people deceased, 3 children, 3 adults, and then that includes what appears to be a female teenager who was the shooter. All right. Went over many of the details here. It's interesting. Metro Police say they took the call of an active shooter at 10:13 this morning. Don Aaron said that the shooter was shot and killed by 10:27. So basically 14 minutes or so later is all it took. Metro Police with a very, very quick response to the scene to eliminate the shooting threat at that point. All right, so what we understand also is that the way this played out, officers arrived first, went in through the ground floor. They heard gunshots coming from the 2nd floor of the school, made their way up there, and that's where the confrontation occurred. Now, we expect to have an update from Don later. We still don't know the details of exactly how this shooting ultimately played out up on that 2nd floor, though we know it appears officers took the teen, he said, out. It'll be interesting to see folks who were up there, maybe witnesses and the like. The question that I asked, did any of the 3 adults perhaps take steps to try to subdue the suspect in this case? But then again, we do know now 3 adults killed, the 3 children, a 7 total with the shooter. The shooter gained entrance, Don said, through a side door, made their way to the second floor. One of the questions many people ask, this was a school, was there an SRO on scene? Keep in mind, this is a church, this is a private Christian school. From what I understand, talking to individuals, there is someone there that provides some degree of security. Not sure who that individual was or if he was here at the time that occurred, but not typical SRO situation, say, that you have in metro schools. So it was law enforcement, though, that arrived, Metro Police, to confront. And again, you see the scene here, still an awful lot of media. The area remains closed off. You heard Metro Fire talk about how they removed the staff as well as the students that were remaining still up at the school to a location over there at the Woodmont Church to be reunited with their parents at that point. This remains closed off. It is a crime scene up there right now. Again, Don also mentioned, and we'll be curious to see if and when this is made public. I know there is video, he said, from cameras, I believe, inside the church and the school. You have to figure the officers that confronted the shooter also were wearing body cams, so they'll have that to look at as well. We'll see how that plays out. But that's essentially what we have for here, unless you, Vicki, or Hannah have any questions for me, maybe something that I didn't cover. Yeah. We'll update you if there's another news conference, and there may be in the next hour or so.
I have to power down so I can get on my.
Okay, so that was the last little portion that I actually saw before I was saying, okay, I'm not going to watch anymore. Let me go ahead and just get my video started because this is terrible. I'm gonna go to the end to see if they're currently still live now, and we can watch that portion. Then I'm gonna go back to the very, very beginning when they first, got there onto the scene. I just want you to see the area and how many officers. This is terrifying. What we're looking at here is live scene right now. Like what's happening right now is 2:56 p.m. Central Time here in Nashville, Tennessee. So this is the scene that you're seeing right now. And look at this school. Like I said, it's a Christian school. So it's a church, excuse me, as well. Those parents are, feeling. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the beginning. Okay, guys, I'm rewinding it back to the very beginning when they first, got on the scene as far as when we first see the live. So you see the ambulance, all the police on the scene. Again, what we're looking at now is when they first got on the scene, transporting the children and the adults that were doing. Oh wow, I wanted this parent to break it down right here. This is so sad. Y'all see it. And again, y'all, they said they transported 5 of the 6, so that means the 6 must have passed away on the scene. And they said, unfortunately, the 3 children didn't make it to the hospital as well. They passed away on the, not on the scene, but in transport to the hospital. And I know that you heard the report say that it was a team, So right now we're again, oh, how did they allow this to happen? It's a team female. But I'm gonna show you the update. Y'all see how big this school is in the area and all the police officers on the scene. If I had to make a guess, this is probably 10 to 12 minutes from my home. This is the west. This is the West Nashville area, like Hillsboro area, Greenwood area. Now, do y'all see this scene? All this is blocked off. You see they're showing the street right there. I said we for a fight. That's the area. So they're showing you the actual streets. So if you live in the Nashville area or familiar with the Nashville area, you can see where this actually occurred. And you can also tell this is a prominent area. And they said, she entered through a side door. I'm just wondering, of course, they're going to show us the body cam footage. So maybe we stay, I will definitely share that with you guys in another video. But when I saw this part, I was looking like, are they looking for someone else? Are they looking for another suspect? Because they're just walking all around the scene, and I'm like, it's a suspect. Even though this is the very beginning, you guys. So, but I was assuming she was on the line in the building. So I just was wondering, like, why? I don't know. Maybe they thought it was multiple suspects. Maybe that's why. But if you check out this part, it just looks like they're searching for someone. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Right, don't you think it looks like they're looking for somebody, like they're going to a wooded area and all of that? So maybe they're looking for other weapons. Like I said, maybe they figured it was other suspects more than just this female being there at the time. They thought it was a female team, but it wasn't a team. It wasn't a female woman. But I'm just anxious to know who she was and did they know her. Either way, it's heartbreaking and should not have happened. Wouldn't you agree that look like they were looking for somebody like that? I'm gonna talk as the video plays, for fair use. I just don't want to be quiet. Okay, guys, we're gonna come back to this, but I actually found an updated video, so we're gonna watch it, and then we're gonna come back to this part where we left off.
We get the luxury and ability to go
watch the news tonight.
Coming in. Carrie's live outside of Covenant for us right now. And Carrie, I saw you. We're both parents. We get the luxury and ability to go home and hug our children tonight and tell them how much we love them. We know that 3 sets of families won't have that luxury here tonight, and certainly praying for them. I just want to get your thoughts about this as a parent, as a journalist, as a mom, what you're thinking right now, what that scene looks like outside of this precious school here in Nashville.
Oh, Ben, this is so hard. This is a hard day on everybody touched by this situation, for us covering this situation. We are parents. I have elementary school children. I had to call home and say, make sure that the kids don't watch the news tonight. It's too much for them. I have a 2nd grader and a 4th grader. We know that the kids here at the Covenant School are preschool through 6th grade. These are children. They shouldn't have to deal with this, but this has come knocking on their door today. And this is something that will be part of their life story. I do want to tell you, we are here right outside the church entrance to the Covenant Presbyterian Church. You can see officers are still staged there. They just opened this part of the road, but we see officers here, both in marked and unmarked cars, the motorcycles as well. Around this area is an office complex, several different buildings. Traffic has returned on this road, but nothing is normal here. When we pulled into this parking lot and started to set up, we found just a very organic scene, a very moving scene. 3 women stopped, huddled together, arms around each other, praying in this parking lot. We gave them that space, we gave them time, and I approached them gently when they were finished praying and just said, what brought you here? What are you praying for? And I found out that these women are strangers. They were compelled to come here and just lift this school and this community in prayer. And it really was moving. I want you to listen to what they had to say to me.
As soon as I heard, I was like, I have to get out there to pray, because like the officer said from the TBI, people like to judge us for praying, but no, this is exactly what we need in this time. It is prayer, that we need. That's what's going to change. That's what's going to shift. And we are certainly out here praying for every family that has been connected to this tragedy, for the families of every student that is represented in this school, all the staff, the administrators, and all of our first responders and police department. We are covering everyone in prayer, because that's our first responsibility, is to pray.
And that's what those women were doing today. They were just praying. They really didn't know each other. One of the women said that she, at her church, her pastor a while ago had given all the prayer warriors a zip code to just pray over. And hers is the Green Hills zip code. She doesn't live here. So she just said, when I heard what happened, this is my zip code. I came to pray. I need to cover this area in prayer, and I will continue to do so. I was looking on the school website earlier today, and this really struck me. I don't know if it's their motto or their slogan, but on the website for the Covenant School, it says, shepherding hearts, empowering minds, celebrating childhood. That's their mission here at this school, to celebrate childhood. But evil walked through that door today, and that's just going to be really hard to do going forward. This is a private Christian school, and we have heard time and time again, as those children were getting off that bus to go into the reunification center, many of them were singing. We don't know what they were singing, but they were singing, and that's what children should do. So even in this moment of tragedy, this school mission of shepherding hearts, empowering minds, and celebrating childhood is just, I imagine, just clinging on right now. And they are trying to do their very, very best. But again, we are outside the church here, connected to the school, Covenant Presbyterian Church. Officers remain here, but this road is now open. It's already been a long day. The call went out from the school at 10:13. Officers were able to take down the shooter within 14 minutes. We are coming up now on 3 o'clock. And this investigation really is just beginning here at this school as they work to learn more about the shooter, what motivated her, how she became equipped with 2 assault-style rifles and a handgun, and what motivated her to get into the school, how she did it. And of course, we also want to know about the victims and their stories and their connection to the school. And that's what we'll be working to do all day long. I'm going to send it back to you for now.
Carrie, so well said. This will be the worst day in the life of so many parents and children. Carrie, you think about that church, a school, so sacred for so many families here in Nashville, and how tight-knit this community is, and talking to children who will be scared to go to school tomorrow if they attend a different school here in Nashville, in Tennessee, and just trying to process that thought and what to tell your children when they're saying, Mom, Dad, I don't know that I'll be safe, and I'll see you at the end of the school day. I mean, these are genuine questions that our children are asking.
And Ben, if I could just interject here. I mean, I think, you said we both have children. A lot of people have children. We all know that our children, our young children, do these active shooter drills at school. It's not just the earthquake drills and the fire drills anymore. They do these active shooter drills. That's what happened here today. It was a reality. Something that also struck me today when we just pulled up here, they have their Easter sign out advertising their services that are coming up just a couple of weeks from now. Easter is about victory. Nothing about today feels like victory is coming. We are seeing evil here today, and our children are experiencing it.
She mentioned these active shooter drills, which we know this school has had in the past. They were as prepared as anybody to handle a situation like this. The doors were locked. Their team knew what to do when something like this happened. Yet you have a shooter who shoots through the door and goes in, like Carrie said, just such evil there inside.
Thanks so much, Gary, for joining us. We'll probably talk to you a little bit later.
You talk.
Okay, guys, so that was the most updated video, well, on that news station. But of course, I have done some searching and have a little bit more information on the shooter for you guys. But as you can see, is 7 dead, 3 children. They haven't released the ages or anything yet, but this was a Christian elementary school from preschool to 6th grade. So that means those children are anywhere from ages, if they let them start at 4 or 5, all the way to maybe 12. So we're looking at anywhere from ages 4 to 12. That's crazy. And as you heard the news lady say, nothing about today, seems like a victory. That's just terrible. And they also said, I don't know if you read across the screen, that it's still hundreds inside the actual church or in the school, because they're still trying to reunify people with their loved ones. So even though they have transported some people, they did say that there was still more people inside. So I want to share with you this article that I just found that was updated about an hour ago, just to show you guys more information about the shooter as far as her identity. And maybe we can find more as we're on here.